Most Docker files I see in production are security nightmares waiting to happen. Running as root, using latest tags, copying entire directories including secrets. And images? Bloated with debugging tools that attackers love. They love it. Here's the thing. Writing a good Dockerfile is not hard. It's just that nobody taught you the rules. Today, I'm going to show you every best practice you need to build production-ready container images. We will cover image selection, build optimization, security hardening, and maintainability. And at the end, I will show you how AI can apply all those rules automatically. Let's start with the foundation, choosing the right base image. Speaking of production-ready containers, building them right is one thing, but testing the code that goes into them is another challenge entirely. You write your code, you build the image, you push it, you wait for deployment, and then you discover something doesn't work with real dependencies. That cycle is painfully slow, and that's where the sponsor of this video comes in. mirrod from MetalBear. mirrod lets developers run local code in the context of a cloud environment without deploying anything. Your code runs locally, but connects to real databases, message queues, and services. And the result? Feedback in seconds instead of waiting for build and deployment pipelines. For individual developers, the open source version works great. It's amazing. But when teams share environments, coordination becomes critical. The team and enterprise plans add queue splitting, database branching, and traffic filtering, enabling multiple developers to work on the same workload simultaneously without collisions. So check out metalbear.com or click the link in the description somewhere down there. And big thanks to mirrod for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the Dockerfile best practices. The first rule is simple. Use minimal base images. Containers are not virtual machines. They already run on top of the host operating system and they're sharing its kernel. You don't need Ubuntu or Debian inside your containers. All you need are the runtime dependencies your application requires. Nothing more. So forget about full distribution images. Instead, reach for Alpine, Slim variants, distroless, or even Scratch images. Every package you don't include is a package that cannot have vulnerabilities. Smaller images mean a smaller attack surface, faster pulls, and less storage. So here's a general rule of thumb. If you're working with compiled languages like Go and Rust, distroless or Scratch images are your best bet since you can compile everything into a static binary with no runtime dependencies. For interpreted languages like Node.js or Python, you will need the runtime. You do. So Alpine or Slim variants make more sense. So let's take a look at the Dockerfile I'm using. I'm using Alpine as my base. Now, to be clear, there are arguably better options like chain guard images, which are absolutely amazing, but the free version fails with one of the rules we will cover later. So Alpine, in this demo, it is. The second rule is to use multi-stage builds. The idea is to separate your build dependencies from your runtime. Why does it matter? Well, because the tools you need to compile or build your application are not, and I repeat, are not the tools you need to run it. Node modules for building, compilers, dev dependencies, none of that belongs in your production image. It bloats the image and it increases the attack surface for no good reason. So here's how it works. The first stage uses Node Alpine to install dependencies and to build the application. And the second stage is just Nginx Alpine. It copies only the built files from the first stage and serves them. All those node modules, all those build tools, even the source code, they're gone. The final image contains only what's needed to run. Now, the third rule? Well, derive the version from your project. Don't just pick a random version for your base image. Your project already defines what version it needs. So, use that as your source of truth. Why? Because you want your container to run the same version your project was designed for. Mismatched versions lead to subtle bugs that are pain to debug. Over there we can see that the package JSON specifies node 20 or higher in the engines field. And Over here in Dockerfile, we can see that it uses Node 20 Alpine. The version matches. For Go projects, you would check Go mode. For Python, you would check PyProject TOML or Python version. The point is, do not guess. Do not guess. Derive. Now, let's talk about how to optimize the build process itself. The first optimization rule is about layer caching. Docker caches each layer. And when something changes, it invalidates that layer and everything after it. Now, why does that matter? Because if you copy your source code before installing dependencies, every code change forces a pull dependency reinstall. That's slow and that's wasteful. And the fix is simple. Put the things that change rarely at the top and the things that change often at the bottom. Base image first, then dependency manifests, then configuration, and finally source code. Now, over there, notice the order. The package.json and package.log.json come first. These define dependencies and they rarely change. Configuration files come next. Source code comes last because that's what changes most frequently. Now, when you change your code, Docker reuses the cached layers for everything above it. Next, combine run commands. Each run instruction creates a new layer. Fewer layers generally means a smaller image. This example shows chown commands chained together. It's not the most exciting demonstration, but this image doesn't need package installation, so that's what I got. Now, here's where combining commands actually matters. Cleaning caches. If you install packages in one run command and you clean the cache in another, the cache still exists in the earlier layer. You saved nothing. The cleanup must happen in the same layer as the installation. Now you see how npm CI and npm cache clean are in the same run command? That's the pattern. Install and clean in one shot. So the cache never makes it into any layer. Okay, next. Explicit copy. Never use copy ... The consequences depend on where you use it. In the final stage, it copies everything into your image, including secrets and .git directories and files you don't need. That's a security and that's a size problem. In earlier stages, those files will not end up in the final image, but you're still slowing down your build and hurting layer caching. Any file change invalidates that layer, even files you don't care about. So, be explicit about what you copy. So yes, it's more verbose, but you know exactly what's going into each stage. Finally, production dependencies only. If your runtime image needs dependencies, install only what's required to run, not what's required to build or test. For Node.js, that means npm CI omit dev. For Python, separate your requirements files. Dev dependencies have no business in a production container. Okay, now let's talk about security. First rule, non-root user. Never, ever run containers as root. Why? Because if an attacker breaks into your container, they shouldn't get root privileges on top of it. Create a dedicated user and run your application as that user. Over there, we create a group and user with UID 10,001. Why that number? UIDs below 10,000 are often reserved for system users. Starting at 10,001 avoids conflicts. Next, pin image versions. Never use latest. Never. Why? Because latest changes without warning. Your build might work today and break tomorrow because someone pushed a new version. Worse, you cannot reproduce builds reliably. Ideally, you would pin an exact version like Node 20.11.1 Alpine 3.19, but that increases maintenance since you need to review, test, and merge updates constantly. So, using something like Node 20 Alpine is a middle ground. You get major version locked, but you still receive patches automatically. Now, remember when I mentioned chain guard images earlier? This is the rule they fail. Their free tier only offers the latest tag. And the problem over there is that I am too cheap to pay for it for a demo. But, you should consider them for production. You really should. Next, official images. Use Docker official images or verified publishers. Why? Because Random images from unknown publishers could contain anything. Malware, crypto miners, backdoors, you name it. Official images are maintained, scanned, and trusted. In this specific case, both Node and Nginx are Docker official images. So, very good, probably, more likely. Now, a few more rules that all boil down to the same principle. Keep it minimal. No secrets in image. Never embed credentials, API keys, or passwords in your Dockerfile or env instructions. Images get pushed to registries, cached on build servers, and pulled by who knows how many systems. Secrets in images are secrets exposed. Next, no sudo. If you need root access for something, use a separate build stage or switch user explicitly. Installing sudo in a container is asking for trouble. Then we have minimal packages. Only install what your application actually needs to run. Every extra package is extra attack surface and extra bytes. If you do end up using apt-get, always use no installer recommends. Otherwise, you will get a bunch of optional packages you never asked for. Then there is copy over add. Always use copy unless you specifically need add's tar extraction features. And never ever use add with URLs. It's unpredictable and can introduce security risks. Finally, no debugging tools. Don't install curl, wget, vim, or netcat in production images. Why? Because attackers love that. They love those tools. They love it. If they get into your container, you just handed them everything they need to explore your network, to download more malware, or to exfiltrate data. But what if you need to debug something in production? Well, use ephemeral debug containers. Let's say I need to run dig to debug a DNS issue in my container. Look at that. The tool isn't there. It's not there. And that's good. That's exactly what we want. Now, let's use an ephemeral debug container instead. Now it works. The netshot image has all the networking tools you would ever need. It attaches temporarily to your pod. You do your debugging, and when you're done, it's gone. Your production image stays clean. And here goes one more security rule. Executables owned by root. Application binaries should be owned by root but executed by a non-root user. Why? If an attacker compromises your application, they cannot modify the binaries to persist their access. The files are read-only to them. Now, let's wrap up with some maintainability best practices. First, sort arguments. When you have multi-line package lists, alphabetize them. And why, you might ask? Because it makes diffs cleaner, reviews easier, and merge conflicts less likely. It's a small thing, tiny thing, but it adds up. Next, use workdir. Never use run cd to change directories. So, why not cd? Because it only affects that single run command. The next instruction over there starts back at the default directory. Workdir sets the directory for all subsequent instructions and makes your Dockerfile easier to read. So, what's next? Oh yeah, exec form for CMD. Always use JSON array format for your command instruction. So, why does this matter? The exec form runs your process directly, so it receives signals properly. If you use the shell form, like command nginx -g daemon off, your process runs as a child of bin.sh. When Kubernetes or Docker sends a SIG term to stop your container, the shell receives it, not your application. Your app never ever gets the chance to shut down gracefully. Finally, 2 rules about documentation. Comment non-obvious decisions. Explain why you made certain choices, but not what the command does. Anyone can read that you're installing a package. What they cannot figure out is why you pinned it to that specific version or why you are using a particular flag. And yeah, add OCI labels. Labels like org open containers image source and version and description help with image management. When you're staring at a list of images trying to figure out what they are and where they came from, labels save you. And that covers the best practices, but remembering all those rules and applying them consistently is tedious. So let's see how AI can help. All these best practices are baked into a prompt available at DevOps AI Toolkit. You give it a project and it generates a production-ready Dockerfile following every rule we just covered. So let's see it in action. I will open Cloud Code with the MCP configuration that includes the Dockerfile generation prompt. And then it analyzes things, it works and works and works. Let's speed up through it, and there we go. The AI analyzed all the relevant files in the project. Package.json for dependencies and node version, Docusaurus, config.ts for the framework, source directories, and everything else that might provide information needed to generate the Dockerfile. It figured out that this is a static site that needs Nginx to serve the build files. And now it generates the Dockerfile. There we go. Multi-stage build, Alpine base, layer caching, non-root user, pinned versions, all the best practices applied automatically. It also generated a docker-ignore file. And look at that over there. It excludes node modules, build artifacts, secrets, and git files. And now it builds the image and validates that everything works. There we go. It built the image. It ran a container to verify everything works. It checked the logs, and it cleaned up after itself. 106 megabytes for the final image. And that's not bad. That's quite okay for considering it's a Node.js application. And that's it. From project analysis to a production-ready Dockerfile in seconds, following all the best practices we covered. And those practices are worth remembering. For base images, use minimal images like Alpine or distroless, use multi-stage builds, and derive versions from your project files. For builds, order layers so that rarely changing content comes first, combine run commands, be explicit about what you copy, and only install production dependencies. For security, never run as root, pin versions, use official images, keep secrets out, and skip debugging tools. For maintainability, use workdir, use exec form for CMD, and add OCI labels. Now I know that's a lot to keep track of, but now you don't have to. Use the AI prompt at the DevOps AI Toolkit and let it handle the details. Your containers will be smaller, faster, and more secure. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Cheers.